Mornings with Intention podcast, where we bring you stories from around the globe. All right, and welcome back to Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. Today I have a beautiful guest with me, Rosalind Sedacca. Welcome to my podcast.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It's so nice to have you here. So welcome, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and where are you from, please.
Okay, well, I'm from South Florida, and I am the founder of the Child Centered Divorce Network, a divorce and co-parenting coach. And the focus of my work is helping parents make the best decisions regarding their children before, during, and long, long after divorce, so the children don't have to pay the price for the divorce.
All right. Well, let's dig right into it as I have some more questions for you. So, Rosalind, you've known as the voice of child-centered divorce. Can you
Yes.
share what that really means and how it began?
Yeah, so a child-centered divorce is a divorce when two parents have children and they divorce. It's a totally different experience than when people without children divorce, because when the divorce ends and you don't have children, you just move your separate ways and you never have to interact again in the rest of your life if you don't want to. When you're a parent and you have a divorce, it's much more complicated, much more emotionally involved, and you need to be protecting those innocent children right through the divorce and then long, long after, because usually co-parenting is the rest of your life. And so you want to make sure that parents are aware that every decision they make has consequences. And the ugly stories we hear about divorce gone bad that are in the headlines and that we all talk to each other about are because parents didn't make mindful decisions. They weren't aware of those consequences because most of those problems could have been avoided. And my passion is to work with these parents as early on as possible to help them understand that they could make better decisions and avoid a lot of the pain and turmoil and craziness, and especially scarring their children.
Hmm. So, what really inspired you to create the child-centered divorce network? What was
Well,
it that?
it actually came out of my own life experience. My background it was in marketing and advertising originally, and when my son was 11 years old, I finally decided I needed to have a divorce. I spent years trying to avoid it and getting the nerve up to finally initiate the divorce. And I did a lot of personal growth work and therapy because I was so frightened to scar my son and give him a painful childhood as a result. So I put it off, and finally I knew I had to do this, make the decision about the divorce. And back then, this was back in the 90s, there wasn't nearly as much support and help and information about doing divorce in the best possible way. And so my ex and I had to figure it out, and we did. We worked really hard to make sure we put our son's interests first and got along so that he didn't have to take care of us. And we raised him to a young adult. And one day when he was in his early 20s, he came to me out of the blue and he said, "You know, Ma, you and Daddy did a really good job with the divorce, and I just wanted to thank you because most of my friends whose parents divorced either hate their parents or are very angry at them. And I think you and Daddy really did a good job." And I was just caught off guard and so surprised by that, because you hold on to so much guilt as a parent. You don't know if you did anything that was going to harm your child. And that became a catalyst for my thinking about all that I had learned to do and not do. And I ultimately founded the Child Centered Divorce Network, became a divorce and co parenting coach. And because my background was in writing so much, I wrote several books and ebooks and courses and programs about divorcing and co parenting in the best possible way, so that people who can't afford one on one coaching could at least get it valuable information and advice to help them. So I have all those resources on my website.
Wow, that's amazing. That you were able to do this great parenting, going through such a difficult time. So your book, How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce, has helped countless parents. What's the biggest mistake you think parents make when having that difficult conversation?
Well, they don't prepare together. They don't understand that both of them need to be aligned, no matter how you feel about each other during the divorce process. When you're having the break the news conversation, which is so challenging and difficult and painful for everyone in the family, you want to be talking first and understanding what you need to say and not say. And it's always best when both parents do it together. And you want to have a message that isn't frightening. So if you approach the subject and say, this is the worst thing that could have happened, but because of your mother, because of your father, we are now getting a divorce. And I'm sorry that you're going to be suffering from this, but what can I do? Your terrible other parent made us have this terrible experience. Well, that's setting everyone into a deep, dark situation that's not going to get any better. However, if both parents talk about it and prepare, what I suggest is putting together a storybook with family photos of life before the divorce, happier times, and then a message about the fact that mom and dad are not getting along well. We've been fighting too much. Maybe you've been hearing us fighting. And we've decided that the best thing for us to do is to have two separate homes where we could live. So when you're with your mother, life will be happier. When you're with your father, life will be happier, or whoever the two parents are, and you can move ahead and have a better life than right now. So things are going to look up, things are going to get better, and both of us are working together to make that the case. When you have a conversation like that, the children are feeling more safe, more secure. It's not the end of the world, and they realize, and they're being told they're not losing their parents. There's going to be a change in the form of the family, but we're still a family and always will be, and your mother and father will always be your parents. So that mindset, and then working together so that you're not fighting around the children and you're not putting the other parent down to the children, starts everyone off in a much sounder, safer, more well adjusted situation, and so you're giving your children the best possible beginning, and then things can only get better from there if you're mindful about the decisions you make and the way you talk to the children. So this particular ebook, where you put in your own photographs, and then you customize the ebook to using the text that I write, and you personalize it, is something that a lot of children will reread over and over again in the days and weeks following the divorce conversation, reminding them that things are going to be okay. And it's very, very helpful for the parents, it's helpful for the children, and it sets everyone off in a much sounder foundation for a happier time ahead.
Wow, great advice. And I know it's not always easy, but there are definitely tools and strategies that people can use. So, how can they find the free material you mentioned? The
Yes, I have
address
a
on your website?
free ebook right on the home page of my website. And my website is childcentereddivorce.com. That's centered with an ED, childcentereddivorce.com. And right at the top of the home page, you can just put your email address in. And I have a free ebook on post divorce parenting success strategies for getting it right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. And of course, we will also add information in this video at the end. So please tell us about your anger management for co-parent course. Why is managing anger such a practical part, or sorry, crucial part of the healing and co-parenting process?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking that. Yes, when one or both parents have anger issues, first of all, the children pick up on that, because if you have anger issues, it usually spreads to anger at the children, which makes them very frightened, very insecure, and very unstable in their family life. So it's hurtful for the children. It's always hurtful for the spouse, because uncontrolled anger, it just creates pain, and no one knows when it's going to strike. And it usually gets worse and worse. It's very rarely that someone improves unless they're doing real intentional work on themselves. And that's what this course is about. It's an 8-hour course that you take incrementally, using as much time as you need between the segments, but with videos and with reading material and with questionnaires and a number of other tools and resources. It explains the reasons why we're triggered, why we can't control anger, strategies to use for controlling the anger, ways to handle challenging situations so we're not triggered so easily, and understanding that anger issues not only affect your children and your spouse, it goes out into the workplace and with friends, with colleagues, with everything that you're doing in life. We need to have an ability to stop anger from owning us and take charge of how we behave and how we act, and being mindful of what's happening to us before we get angry and before the anger overcomes us. So that's all the steps that are part of the program. And it's especially designed for people who are co-parents, because this is a challenging, stressful time for anyone. And if one parent especially has extreme anger issues, then everyone in the family is being victimized in that way, and that's not healthy for anyone.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So how can parents model emotional intelligence and resilience for their children during and after divorce?
Well, they need to remember that as parents, we are role models. And so it's not the lectures we give about what to do and don't do. It's what we do ourselves is how children learn from us. And so everything we do, every decision we make is sending a message to the children about how to cope with life when you're dealing with difficult situations, stressful situations. Are you going to collapse and fall apart emotionally? Are you going to become aggressive and bullying and strike out at everyone else around you? Are you going to feel that you can manipulate and get your way just because you're bigger or louder or stronger? We want to be mindful that communication issues are really important within the family dynamic. And if we understand that our children are watching us, then we're more likely to behave in the way we want to behave and be the person we want to be, especially be the parent we want to be. So it's very important that we learn the tips for making insightful decisions and parenting with love and affection, and remembering that our children are not property, that they're in our life, and that they deserve respect and they deserve kindness and compassion. And one thing I always remind my clients is that if you've made a mistake, if you've made a decision or done something that you now regret and see is wasn't the smartest, kindest thing to do, there's no reason to not to sit down, look, get in eye contact with your children and say, hey, I made a decision that I really shouldn't have made, or I said something I really regret saying to you, and I apologize. I'm sorry for doing that. And I know it must be hurtful for you, and I'll never do that again. When children see you being able to own your behavior and apologize for something you did, they're learning that anyone can make a mistake, and I can apologize too as a child. And that's a wonderful gift that parents can give to their children, to show them that it's never too late to say, I'm sorry, I'll try
Mhm.
better next time. And then, of course, do that, make shifts and changes in your behavior so you're doing a better job. Your children will thank you when they're grown adults.
Yes, definitely. I agree because no matter what they do watch us, they watch how we behave, what we do, how we react, and things like that. So, and sometimes we think they're not, but then something will come up in a month or two, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I remember when you did this, and you're like, I didn't know you were watching. I have a
Yeah.
6-year-old, so sometimes I was like, watch her, and then she says something. I'm like, oh, I better, we all have our moments, but it's a great reminder to watch what we do, and because they do pick up on things, and this is definitely Not an easy topic when it comes to divorce and things like that, and anger and all that we go through. So, yeah, it's good to be mindful for sure.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So you also host a divorce, dating, and empowered living. How do you help people step into that empowering living phase after divorce? I'd love to hear more about that.
Yes, what happens very often in a divorce is that we start losing our self-confidence. A lot of people start feeling very insecure. They're they're afraid to move on in life into healthy new relationships because they think they're going to fail. And it can be a very sad, depressing time for some people. And so we need to first work on our self-esteem because we can't do anything if we're not feeling good about ourselves. How can we expect someone else to love us if we're not loving ourselves? So it's important to go within and do the inner work to boost our self-esteem after divorce, make any shifts in our behaviors that we realize need to be made, and feel better about ourselves. And be mindful of what we tell ourselves. If our inner dialogue is telling ourselves, you're a stupid person, you're not a capable person, you're frightened of other people, then it's very hard to get out there and be successful in life and in relationships, and to be a parent who could teach our children to be successful in relationships. So it's good to reach out and get some help. And usually when you're working with a coach or a therapist or someone who specializes in helping people boost their self-esteem, there's principles and strategies and tips and insights that you get that you can try on for size and ultimately own. And remember that everything we do in life is an inside job. It doesn't come from the outside in. It starts from the inside and moves outwardly. So we have to really think about especially that inner dialogue, because if what we're telling ourselves is nasty to ourselves, then it's very hard for us to treat other people well and with respect when we don't treat ourselves with respect, or expect other people to treat us with respect if we can't do that to ourselves. So this is an inner battle for many people, but it's one that you could win.
Oh, definitely. And I totally agree with that. Like you gotta work from within first. You also taken part in two collaboration books. Could you kindly tell us about those books and what's the message you hope people will get after reading the stories?
Well, I can do that. The first book is The Other Side of Divorce, and this is when I talk about the gifts that people get from divorce in that chapter. Divorce can be a painful experience in your life, but if you stop before you move ahead after divorce and you look for the gifts, what insights did I get? What did I learn about myself? What am I going to do differently next time around? How am I going to choose a healthier partner and a healthier way of behaving and boost my self-esteem? When we look at those potential gifts and own them, they become really valuable. And while the divorce experience may have been something we never wanted in our lives, we can find the value in them in shifting us into being a better version of ourselves next time around. And that's so important for people to embrace and understand and then take advantage of. So we can use our lives as teachers, and there's lessons everywhere if we stop and look and say, what are these lessons? What am I learning now? And especially, what will I do differently next time around? And that's part of the other side of the divorce. The second book I'm in is No Problem Parenting, and that is my chapter is about the successful strategies we can use when we're parenting, especially when we're talking to children and trying to again be role models and be honest with them. But remember that we don't want to ever share adult information with children, especially in serious topics like divorce or illness and things like that. We want to always use child age level language with them, because as soon as we share secrets that are adult level secrets. For example, one parent had an affair and the other in the divorce. When you're sharing that with children, even if they're older teenagers, you're immediately robbing them of their childhood because you can't unhear what and unlearn what your parent has told you about that. And suddenly, your children of whatever age they are trying to take care of you and protect you and be your parent. It's not your child's role to be your parent. It's your role to parent them, regardless of the trauma that may be happening in your life, regardless of how sad or emotionally unstable you may feel. It's not your children's place to parent you. So we have to really stop and be mindful if we're stepping into that place and get someone to help us, a coach, a therapist, a support group of some kind, so that our children don't lose their childhood, because that's so unfair to have our children suddenly become little adults when they're 10 or 15 years old. It's just not something that any parent wants to do. And sometimes they fall into it because they don't understand the consequences.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, congratulations on becoming best international seller. And the books are available on Amazon, correct?
Yes, they are.
Awesome. Wonderful advice, Rosalind. Thank you so much. And what's one thing out of all this you hope people would take away from reading all your books? Like, is there a specific message or anything you have?
Well, the overriding principle is always to honor and respect yourself and do the work you need to do that first, because we can't expect to move ahead in life and achieve any of our goals if deep inside we don't feel we're worth it. So we need to understand that every human being is worthwhile, deserves love, deserves respect, and is valuable. And if we're feeling so in a way that we're not feeling as valuable as we should be, reach out and get the support you need, because once you make that shift, everything in life changes. Our what we believe becomes a reality. And so if we believe that we're less than and not don't have value in life, then people are going to mistreat us. And that's on us because we're allowing that. We teach people how to treat us. And so if you want to be treated better in life, make the shift, reach out and get the support you need to shift some of the decisions and beliefs you have about yourself. And once you do, your life will shift. The energy around you will shift. The way people treat you will shift, and you'll come to love and respect yourself more. And that's a beautiful gift to give yourself and a gift to give the children, teaching them that how important that is. So everyone in the family benefits.
Exactly. Well said, and I love everything that you just said. So the name of the podcast is Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. How important do you think it's to set intention for the rest of your day?
Oh, I love that idea. When we have intention, it means we've already thought about it. So we're putting our mind in gear for what this day is going to bring, and it helps us keep from wasting time and energy, and at the same time feeling more productive. And don't forget to stop and acknowledge yourself for little achievements. I did that, check it off on a list, or just give yourself a pat on the back, so to speak, and say, good job, you got that out of the way. When you're mindful about all of those things, you achieve much more, you feel better about yourself, and your day goes smoother. So I love the concept.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, thank you everyone for listening today. I hope you found something valuable out of this episode. Again, we are here for you. Reach out to us if this is an area you need help with. Of course, Rosalind is the specialist here. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Rosalind, and I wish everyone a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.